Hello. So, as you might have seen, this is not a reading vlog and it's very different from what I usually post on here. But all the work and editing that I did for the reading vlog of June got thrown in the trash by mistake. Yes, you heard that right. A 40-minute long video that I edited and cut and everything, I deleted it by mistake and I cannot do much about it except either remaking it or trying something else. And as you can see, I'm not remaking it, especially because it took a lot of time and a lot of work. In the summer, my computer overheats and it gets very difficult to do anything at all. So what I thought I could do was simply filming a June wrap up, which I hope I'm not gonna yap too much about. Anyways, here's what I read in the month of June. In the month of June, I read a total of 6 books, which is great because it was a very stressful month personally. I had to move out and do the last exams of my master's degree, which I did. So thank God everything worked out in the end. And the first book that I finished in the month of June was Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Here's a little bit about Wicked. Of course, you might know what this is about. This is kind of a retelling of The Wizards of Oz, in which you kind of get to know what happened to the Wicked Witch of the West and kind of how she gained that title and what happened to her backstory and everything. So I went into this not expecting for it to be the same as the musical or the movie. Of course, I knew that it was going to be very different. But I did not expect to not like it this much. I gave Wicked 2.5 stars. This was not the I was expecting. I was not even considering finishing it. I thought I was going to DNF it, or that it was going to take so long that I was eventually going to stop caring. Because it is, I think, around 450 pages, and the pacing is really slow. Also, the language is kind of complex because this is an old book, a really old book. And me personally, I didn't really like a lot about this. I didn't like the pacing. I really thought the plot was too lengthened. Like, I just didn't think certain parts or characters were necessary at all, especially because most of the characters that were introduced to us later get off. Like, even the next chapter they die. So like, what really is the point in that? I didn't like any of the characters, and I really did think that Elphaba and Glinda were just not likable at all. They were evil, and it was beginning to get a little frustrating because I was expecting some kind of redemption arc for them, even for just Elphaba, because that's what happens in the musical. You kind of want to give some, backstory to the evil witch that maybe is not it's just only perceived as evil and is not actually evil. But this Elphaba really was evil and just insufferable, in my opinion. So I really did not enjoy this. I did enjoy the last bit. I kind of pushed through it because I was at the beach. It was really nice, and finally the plot started getting interesting. But you can't really have the plot get interesting at the last 100 pages of the book. That's kind of illegal for me, to be honest. Everything that kind of converged into the actual Wizards of Oz lore, that was really interesting. I thought it was really well written, and I just wish that every part of the book was like that, and it just wasn't. So there's one. The next book that I read in the month of June was The Farm by Tom Rob Smith. I went into this really excited because this book is a psychological thriller. It is about this man who I honestly could not remember what his name is, but this man receives a phone call from his dad. He lives away from his parents, and he learns that his mother is sick and that she now is inside of an asylum because of mental issues that the mother is experiencing. She was being paranoid and she was hallucinating, And then later on, he receives a call from his mother saying not to trust the dad because something really, really obscure is taking place instead. It had a great premise, it really did, but the book was completely... I gave this book 1 star. 1 star. Hello? I give 5 stars to trash on the street. How did we get here? Anyways, I really think the method in which the story was told didn't work for me. We basically gain every bit of information. The story is narrated on the mother's side of the story, which just is not interesting at all. Like, her perspective was so boring. I really wanted to DNF this, but I hardly do. And the ending didn't even suffice, honestly. It wasn't redeeming to the book at all. The book was completely flat for me. I did not attach to any of the characters, and it did not spark any kind of emotion except for anger. I was really angry because that book was just insufferable. What the fuck? I didn't like this book. I did not like this book. Just an incredible amount of confusion and boredom and skimming, but I really did not agree. My expectations were not satisfied at all. So that I will not suggest you reading this book, honestly. The third book I read and finished in the month of June is the only one I have here as a physical copy because I moved regions. Hello. Was Never Fade by Alexander Bracken. This is the second book in the Darkest Minds series. Honestly, this book was waiting for me to read it. I read the first book, The Darkest Minds, like 6 or 7 years ago, and my review on Goodreads is I need Never Fade ASAP. So here I am reading it 6 years later. Yeah, I really wanted to continue this series, especially because I also own the third book, In the Afterlife. I don't know why I only was missing Never Fade, and that's kind of like what put me off. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. It was not my kind of book at all. So the Darkest Minds series is about this world in which in America virus gets children infected and they either die or develop really cool powers, and of course the adults are not in for it. They either grieve their children or they put the other ones in concentration camps. It is a really cool concept that I really enjoyed back in the day, and honestly Never Fade did not disappoint. I did not like this as much as I liked the first one because this was very much like Mockingjay. It kind of changes the vibe of the series into sort of a rebellion, war, spy kind of way, which is not just my genre. But other than that, I really enjoyed this. I was excited to read more of it, and I got really attached to the characters. For those who did read this book, something that happens at the end, I was really sure that it was going to happen ever since a certain character was introduced to us. And when it happened, I still got really sad. So I mean, I think this book did what it was supposed to do, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. So I am still reading Never Fade. I'm like 50% into it, really enjoying it. But I'm also watching The Darkest Minds, like the movie that they did for the first book that I've never seen. And you know, this was kind of an opportunity to like actually jump back into what happened in the first book to refresh my memory. And this movie fucking sucks. Like, it's so bad. Was the book that bad? And it wasn't. Come on, it can't have been that bad. Cause like Ruby and Liam have this flirt in the first 30 minutes of the movie,
where is the true romance? This feels so forced. Was it like this in the book too? Anyways.
Next book I read in the month of June was Bat Eater and Other Names for Corazang by Kylie Lee Baker. I'm really sorry that you guys didn't get to see when I was reading this, because this was the best read of the year so far for me. I gave this 6 stars. It was just incredible. Bat Eater is a story that kind of focuses on the social impact on Asian people during COVID and all the racism and attacks that they received during that time because they were blamed for the pandemic. And this is told in a scary / creepy kind of way. This is a horror, so it is very much full of gore horror because it is about Corazang, who is a crime scene cleaner, and whenever she gets on a scene, she realizes that every scene that she's been in the past weeks was all Asian women, and this kind of triggers her because she did witness her sister dying from a racist attack during the pandemic. So it was really beautiful. It was amazingly written. It was told in this horror, gory, ghost story vibe that I really enjoyed. It was both sarcastic, scary, funny, and sad at the same time. I cannot tell you how much I like this book. The main character is someone who is incredibly dependent by her late sister. She was her shadow all her life, and of course it was kind of hard for her to detach from her sister and what she meant to her as personality wise when she died. And I really loved it. I thought it was greatly written. I think that the character was incredibly relatable, and I just loved every bit of it. I loved the little insight that we got on Chinese culture and the traditions and the beliefs. I really cannot stress this enough. Go read Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. Please do yourself this favor if you're not triggered by body gore. That is a main point, of course, in the book. So please go read this. The other book that I read was Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin. This I read for the LGBT prompt in the Goodreads challenges, which I'm going to talk a little bit about afterwards. I honestly did not enjoy this book at all. This book is about this girl who just left her fiance and just moved back to her parents' house, and she needs to find a job. She needs to get her life back together, and she gets hired in this florist shop by this girl who has a great secret. She has this kind of manipulative relationship with this orchid, a plant. I honestly was never ever expecting to read a book told by a plant, so this was definitely the weirdest book I've ever read. But it honestly, I did not like it at all. It did not have the LGBT representation that I was looking for or that I was expecting, especially because this was the Pride prompt for this. So I was really disappointed in this. I did not like the characters at all. I really found them incredibly unlikable, and even though the pacing was really fast, because I did read this in like 2 days, I just did not really enjoy it. Actually, I think I gave this like 2.15 stars just because the audiobook was good. I mean, it got to a part in which I was not expecting something that the audiobook did, and it caught me off guard in a really good way. I was really scared, and yeah. So if you ever want to read this, to make your own opinion about it, because of course this is just my opinion and my liking, so if you do want to read this, I would strongly suggest the audiobook. Last book that I read in this month was Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McGonaghy. This was incredible. I really, really love this book. I gave this, I think, 4.5 stars. This is a story about a family of four, a father and his three kids who live in an island in Antarctica because they just like guard these seed banks that of course keep all the seeds of every species in case the human race goes to shit. And everything is fine until a woman washes up on shore. And mind you, this is an incredibly stormy sea. It's incredibly cold waters. So they don't know how she got there and why she's there. I really love this. I really, really love this. I also got the audiobook for this, and my only issue a little bit was the Australian accent because this is an Australian author. But other than that, it was incredible. I really loved every single character in this, which is really hard for me to like every character. Of course, the good ones and like the protagonist. I mean, I really loved Dominic, the father. I really loved the kids. I really loved Rowan, the woman. I just think this was great, and you guys should all read it. This was my most anticipated read of the year, and I'm so glad I got to it and got to enjoy it. It was just really great because this is a thriller, so I really, really enjoyed the way that the mysteriousness of everything was, you know, told, and kind of the storyline and how it was told, because, you know, we got a little bit of the past, a little bit of the present, and I just think it was done beautifully. I never got confused. It was incredibly it was just motivating me to get through the book because I really wanted to find out every single detail, and it just did not disappoint me at all. Sorry, my phone died. So basically, I did base my reads off of the Goodreads challenges this month. I mean, completing them at least. And that's why I read Bat Eater. That was for the AAPI challenge. Then I read Eat the Ones You Love for the LGBT one, and Wild Dark Shore for the armchair. It was basically based on traveling and trips. So yeah, thank you so much for following this mess that I did, and I will see you with a proper reading vlog hopefully in July.